video showing you how to create a divider insert for the Slim project case, and this time we're going to be storing mini ink cubes. I did a couple other videos before on how to create these divider inserts. I did one for distress oxides, and then I did another video showing you how to do a divider insert for the stickles and the Nuvo crystal drops. And I'll put links to those videos in the description below if you're interested, and you can check those out. But in this one, we're going to be doing the insert for these little mini cubes. And the awesome thing about this insert is not only does it fit the mini ink cubes, it also fits the dewdrops. So we have the dewdrops, and then I also have some little mini ink cubes down here. And it also fits Shimmerz paints. These are the Shimmerz paints, the original ones, and then some Creameez and Inklingz. And so you can use this same exact insert to store all of these different products. So I think it's really going to be a good one for people wanting to store these little mini ink cubes. And I'll go ahead and share with you a couple other things. One, I wanted to just mention, if you haven't seen this case before, this is the Slim project case from Recollections and also from Iris. It's sold by Michaels, and you can also purchase it from Amazon. And I'll put links in the description of where you can get these cases. These cases are really awesome. I mean, you can fit all kinds of things in there, and I just love them. So it's my favorite organizational item that I have in my craft room, and I just been having fun with trying to see what fits in this Slim project case. So let's go ahead and get started with creating the insert. And let me move this stuff off my table, and I'll be right back. So what you're going to need to create this insert is some cardstock, and then a scoring board with a scoring tool. Or if you don't have a scoreboard, you could use just a ruler and a scoring tool. And then you're also going to need some kind of adhesive, and I'm going to be using the ATG gun and also this Tombow Mono Liquid Glue, which is a liquid adhesive. I like to use both the ATG and the liquid glue because the ATG kind of holds it together while the liquid glue dries. If you just use the ATG, I find that that the dividers will pop open. So I like to use both the ATG and the liquid glue. Now for your cardstock, you're going to want to cut 3 sheets down to these measurements. You're going to want the first sheet to be 12 by 11 inches. Your second sheet will be 12 by 11.5 inches. And the third sheet will be 12 by 5 inches. Now this insert is a little bit more complicated than ones we've done before with the distress oxides and the stickles, just because it's got more dividers and we have 3 sheets of cardstock instead of 2. And also I had some trouble with this. I've created this probably 3 or 4 times trying to figure out the best way to actually create this insert. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create our dividers for the top and the bottom of the case a little bit shorter than the ones in the middle. And so let me just bring this back up here so maybe I can explain kind of what I'm talking about here. So if you look at this case, you'll see that the case kind of goes in on both the top and the bottom. And I wanted to have the divider at both the top and the bottom, because if you didn't have the divider here, there's this gap here and then also a little bit of a gap up here. And if you don't have that divider at the top and the bottom, then these inks would kind of like, you know, move around in this area in both this part of the case and then over here in this part of the case. The other thing is if I created the 1-inch dividers, like these are much taller, at the top and the bottom of the case, it was hitting, and so the case wouldn't close. So what I ended up doing was I created a 3/4 inch divider at the top and the bottom of the case, but in the middle, these are all 1-inch dividers. Now, the reason why I did that was because if you wanted to, you could actually store multiple layers. So right now I have just 1 layer of ink, and there's 63 in this box. But if you were wanting to store double the amount of ink, you could store 126 inks, and you would just double them up. Let me get one of these out of here. So you could actually double them up and the case will still close. Now, if I created the middle dividers at 3/4 of an inch, then it wouldn't have any kind of the divider wouldn't hold that second layer of ink cubes. Now, I don't know if I would put 2 layers. I kind of like just having 1 layer, but if you wanted to create the case and have 2 layers of ink, you could do that. And that's why I decided to create 3/4 or 1 inch dividers in the middle section, and then just a 3/4 inch on the ends. So let me go ahead and let's start off with our cardstock number 1. And I'm going to look at my notes here so that I don't get confused. But we're going to start off, and the first thing we're going to want to do is the 3/4 inch divider. So we're going to go in at 3/4 inch. Oops, I didn't have that straight on there. Always make sure that your paper is flush against the side of your scoring board. Okay. So 3/4 inch and then 1.5 inches. So that's the first divider. And then we're going to make the room for, or the row for the ink. So that's going to be 1.5 inches. So we'll go to 3. Okay. And then we're going to make a 1 inch divider. So we're going to score at 4 and at 5. We're going to make our second row for the ink, so we're going to go over 1.5 inches to 6.5 inches. And then we're going to make another 1 inch divider, so we're going to go at 7.5 inches, 8.5 inches. And then we're going to make our third row for the ink, and so that means we're going over another 1.5 inches to 10. That leaves us with 1 inch left over, and that piece right here, which is 1 inch, that's what we're gonna be using to attach our second piece of cardstock. So let's move on to cardstock number 2. So with cardstock number 2, it's almost going to be exactly the same as number 1, except we're not going to do any 3/4 inch dividers. We're only going to do 1 inch dividers. So we're going to start at 1 inch, and then 2 inch. Then we're going to create our fourth row. So we're going to go over to 3.5 inches. And then another divider, so 4.5 and 5.5. And our fifth row, so we'll go over another 1.5 inches to 7. And then the next divider will be 8 and 9. Row number 6, we need to go over another 1.5 inches, which would be 10.5. And that leaves us with 1 inch. And this inch right here, or this last piece, is what we're going to be attaching sheet or cardstock number 3. Okay, so for our last one, this is our last ball piece. This is 5 inches. We're going to start off with our 1 inch divider. So we're going to do a 1 inch, 2 inch, and then our seventh row will be 1.5 inches. So that's going to be 3.5. And then we're going to do this last one here is going to be our 3/4 inch divider. So we're going to go over to 4.25. And the little piece left here is 3/4. So that makes our 3/4 inch divider. So let me go ahead and move the scoreboard out of the way. And this is why I really think it's important that you write on here, because I made this earlier today and I put it together wrong. I actually had this flipped upside down, and when I glued it, I glued the 3/4 inch onto the 1 inch, and it was not a good situation. So it's good, I think, if you write on pencil which one is which, so that you can keep track. So first thing I'm going to do is going to join all 3 of these pieces together, and I'm just going to use some ATG. back and forth on all these score lines. And this process takes a little bit of time. I just use my fingers and I go back and forth. You can use a bone folder if you'd like. I think it's easier just using my fingers, but let me go ahead and I'm gonna fold all this, and I will speed this up so you don't have to watch me do this, and we're just gonna get all of this folded and then we'll be gluing it together. So the next step is going to be to glue all these dividers together. So you can kind of see here we have the 3/4 inch divider, and then these will be our 1 inch dividers once we get it glued together. And then over here we have our other smaller 1 inch divider. So that's what you're going to end up with once you have this all glued together, and then you kind of, you know, fold it on all the score lines. So I'm going to flip this over, and I'm just going to apply ATG and some glue. Hopefully these have some left. I'm trying to use up all this Tombow Mono Liquid Glue. I used to use this. This was my favorite adhesive until I found the art glitter glue. And then once I started using art glitter glue, I don't want to use anything else. So I'm trying to use up this Tombow liquid glue for stuff like this, because when I'm scrapbooking, I don't want to use it. I like to use my art glitter glue. If y'all have never used the art glitter glue, it's fantastic. It's super easy to use. It comes out like all of these, you have to like squeeze this hard to get it to come out. With the art glitter glue, you don't have to squeeze hard at all. It just flows right out of the bottle. It's really cool. And for people that have problems with their hands, I think that's a really critical you know, thing that you need to think about when you're using glue, because this is really hard sometimes to get to squeeze these bottles. It makes your hands hurt. I had carpal tunnel surgery on both my hands. I guess it's been about 18 or 19 years ago, and I still have trouble with my hands. So I love that art glitter glue. It's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this all up, and then I will be right back. Fit it into the case. And with this insert, you do not have to cut around the piece in the case that kind of juts into the case, because we eliminated that, because these two dividers, they fit right up against the that middle part. So we have this empty gap here, and that means we don't really have to cut around it at all, which is nice. So I have this case here that has some more inks. And let's just go ahead and load this up. And if you want to stick around, I'm going to show y'all a couple of other cases. And look, I think I put labels on here, and I think I just glued it together with the label. So funny. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just this in here so you can see that it fits very nicely all of these different inks. How cool is that? I just love that. Okay, I thought it would be fun if I just shared with you a couple of my other cases just so you can get an idea of what fits. So we have Distress Oxides, and these are fit 24 Distress Oxides, and I have them in 2 layers. So I have 2 of these cases. I have 48 Distress Oxides, And then there's a little extra space down here to put your distress tools. So that's pretty cool. So we have that one. Then I have a couple of other cases just that have regular ink pads in there. So I have 2 of those. I have this one that's kind of got specialty ink pads. Haven't created inserts for those, and I'm not sure if I'm going to. Here's some liquid pearls and some Ranger, what do you call those? Ranger enamel accents, that's what it's called. So that's the insert for that one. And here is the Crystal Nuvo drops. I haven't taken the label off of this yet. You know, this is one of the things I really hate about this case is these labels are super, super hard to get off. Be prepared to spend 10 minutes. So I haven't done that yet, but yeah, that's Crystal Nuvo drops. Here is some wood stamps. And the last one we have is punches. Now you can't fit a lot of punches in here. You can fit small punches because the case is, you know, it's not very deep, so you can fit small punches, and some punches will fit, but I think it's great for punches too. So that's all I have for you guys today. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you would like to see more videos, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.